I'm actually going to start my talk a little backwards from where I have my notes, so bear with me a little bit. Um, we're going to end the talk with community. So let's talk about. Let me just hit some highlights of some different sessions during the conference. Some things that I think will be particularly interesting to publishers and to our associate members of PubWest. Things like Jason Fried from 37 Signals. He's a guy that was a software, owned a software company, and they had put together a blog, and essentially were documenting their their company, the whole startup, their successes, their failures, their struggles. They put together this blog. They noticed very quickly that they had a large readership. Then dropped this blog into a PDF and started selling it. And in a quick time, between 12 to 18 months, he sold over $1 million worth of information off this blog. So many people were interested in this. It's waste, is essentially what he talked about, waste. And how you can disseminate this waste and make it interesting to people. Well, what I take out of this is publishing. Everybody is interested in publishing. So create your waste. Write a blog. Talk about the publishing business. Publish this stuff and sell it to the general public. $2, $5, $10 at a time. It all works. It all adds up. It's another way to add some money to your bottom line. A very interesting study from Jason. Let's talk a little bit about digital rights management. And that was a big topic during the conference. Cory Doctorow and Tim O'Reilly came out strongly against digital rights management. And if you're not familiar with digital rights management, it's essentially the tool that a vendor uses to control the information out. So when you download your information out to become an ebook, the vendor of choice that you're using actually has a digital rights management. So what they're doing is holding on to this information in the hopes that you're not going to transfer it to someone else, or you're not going to transfer it to another e-reader back and forth, and there's going to be a loss of money. Well, Cory Doctorow quickly took that equation out by showing on the projector during his presentation that John Grisham's new book, The Associate, had already been downloaded in a pirated site. 6 other very popular audiobooks had already been downloaded, available for free. So DRM is something we all need to get around. In fact, if you've all had a chance to see yesterday's interview with Jeff Bezos on The Daily Show, there's a fascinating section on it where Jeff Bezos talks about DRM. I encourage you all to go to thedailyshow.com and just watch that clip. It's not only it's hilarious and talking about the new Kindle, but he does hit upon these subjects. And I think it's something that DRM is going to be quickly. It's going to be the thing to talk about it for a long time, and I think it's going to take an ongoing effort through publishers and through customers to talk to vendors and try to steer away from it. During the conference, in fact, Andrew Savikas from O'Reilly published a letter calling for the end of digital rights management. So we'll see what happens with that. The other session that I like to talk about, or there's many others, but one of the other sessions that I talked about is a session on smart women read ebooks. It was a fascinating section. It was great. There were 4 women on the panel, and they were very quick adopters of the material. All of them had started with Kindles, and they were transforming over to the Sony e-reader because they found the Sony e-reader to be more flexible. They found the Sony e-reader to have more memory. Now that's changed because of the new Kindle that's come out. But it was a great session on women that are really taking hold of and are really interested in this technology. One of my favorite things that happened during the session was that the women showed their Kindles, and they'd all been kind of accessorized, blinged out. They all had pink skins and stars and that sort of stuff. It was fantastic. It was a way to make the Kindle feminine, to make women that were out in the public reading it someone to notice it instead of this bland kind of, you know, manila-looking unit. It really kind of came off very interesting. So a lot will happen with that. You know, there are other things on that particular panel. Most of the women were romance readers. So some people ask about in the panel, was there a subscription service for romance readers? There was nothing so far. I think it's something to come out quickly. If you're reading a specific genre, we'll offer that customer a deal, a discount. Give them more information. Get them to buy the next book, the next book, the next book, especially in that romance genre. Moving on with more on e-readers, Stanza showed off their e-reader for the iPhone, which if you haven't seen, it's absolutely fantastic. The things that they can do with this iPhone with backlight and front light and different fonts. If you have someone that's got sight impairment, they can blow up the fonts. They can do backlighting in a different way. In fact, Neelan, who gave the presentation on it, said that his wife would actually always bother him when he was trying to read it in bed before, because he had a nightlight on his regular book. With the new iPhone, he can hit the backlight. He said it's a very, very easy change, and there's not this big light going on in the room the whole time. So far, Stanza has 1.2 million book downloads in 60 countries. They have 100,000 books available, and they've seen a 3 times sales increase in the last 6 months. They did an interesting survey about where people use their iPhone. 31% used them in bed, 29% commuting, 13% waiting in a doctor's office, wherever, 12% at home, 5% at work, 5% in a cafe, and 5% in a plane. In fact, one person said that he had missed his bus 6 times in the last month due to reading his iPhone. He was so enthralled with this. The average price, I think, is also something that's very interesting on this. $10.25 is the average price that they're selling the book for. The other thing that it was quite interesting during the conference was On Demand Books, who's produced the Espresso book machine. They have 11 of them out in the world producing these books. In fact, the Tools of Change book that I have here was produced in 4 minutes in front of me. I would encourage you all to go on and look at ondemand.com and look at the video. They actually have one on YouTube that you can look at. I'll pass this around and you can look at the quality of it. It's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating. The great news about this, too, is Lightning Source has partnered with them. So if you have your title on Lightning Source, it's available through Espresso Book Machine. So it's another great tool to have.